Дойче Дунков, ты еще увидишь, как из-за твоей продажной глупости, Анна-Лена Бербок, Берлин будет гореть.
Надо как-то сделать так, чтобы американские солдаты начали гибнуть.
Да мы сотрем в порошок Варшаву и Вильнюс.
Почему мы признаем Францию в ее границах?
Как я хочу посмотреть, чтобы Урсулиха фон дер Ляля корчилась с куском беспилотника в глотке.
Когда на сегодняшний день мы говорим, что война будет безъядерной, мы, наверное, лукавим.
По количеству на душу населения, правда, Канада ее опережает, но Америка – это мировая держава по дебилу.
Я сейчас требую спалить Берлин.
Welcome to another episode of Russian Hate Speech, where we expose the Kremlin's threats, revisionism, and information warfare against the West. In a recent March 2025 broadcast of Sunday Evening with Vladimir Solovyov, state propagandists once again laid out a chilling vision of Russia's future relations with the European Union, one driven by conflict, militarization, and the open rejection of diplomacy. This time, the narrative was clear. Unless the EU changes its leadership, war with Russia is not just possible, it is inevitable.
The divergence in values between us and Europeans is now so deep that we speak in mutually exclusive terms. This means we are no longer just facing a conflict of interests, this is a conflict of values. And where there is a conflict of values, compromise is nearly impossible. So either there will be new governments and new leaders with whom we can speak, or these current leaders, if we don't apply pressure, will certainly lead us to direct confrontation. Whether it happens in 5, 2 or 3 years, I have no doubt it will happen.
It's a strategic narrative meant to frame future war as a logical and unavoidable outcome. It dehumanizes Western leadership and portrays Russia as the reluctant but righteous aggressor. The same program escalated this rhetoric into open military threats against European capitals.
They say Russian troops in Berlin and Paris tomorrow. No one in Germany or France believes it, but they will be there if you invade our territory, the territory of our interests.
Here, territory of interest extends the battlefield far beyond Russia's borders, effectively threatening any European nation that resists Russian imperialism. But the Kremlin isn't only planning confrontation, it's also calling for active subversion of Western democracies.
What we need in Europe now is a powerful anti-war movement. Don't focus on political figures, left, right or center. Each of them carries baggage. Instead, we must shake the situation in those countries that dare to oppose us, those who talk of war in 5 years. Under neutral slogans, we must build an anti-war movement that blocks roads, parliaments. That's a valuable resource we should use.
This is a direct call for hybrid warfare. Sardaryan promotes using protests as a political weapon, not to promote peace, but to paralyze Western democracies. Other segments double down on dehumanizing rhetoric, this time targeting the Baltic states.
Western Europe doesn't see its actions as suicide, but the Baltics, they do. They want to self-destruct against us at any cost, because apparently life has become unbearable for them. The burden of statehood turned out to be too heavy. And in this sense, of course, stepping back from everything we are discussing here, we must return to the traditional forms of organizing life for societies that are not yet ready for statehood, mandate territories. We've had many of those. Just open a book and read. But Western Europe, no, it wants to commit suicide on credit.
By describing entire nations as unfit for self-governance, Russian pundits are justifying future occupation and colonization under the guise of historical precedent. On Besagon TV, the propaganda took a more theatrical turn.
The militant bravado of the Baltics, the perversion of these chained lapdogs, knows no bounds. They echo Macron and they are ready to send their entire army to fight Russia. All 6 of them.
But the darkest threat came in the form of an interview broadcast on Sunday evening with Vladimir Solovyov. In this interview, Sergei Karaganov, a senior Kremlin-linked academic, told BBC's Steve Rosenberg that Russia could carry out a preemptive nuclear strike on Europe without consequences.
Do you rule out a preemptive nuclear strike on Europe? Why not? Not now, but if it comes to it, we should punish the Europeans. You mean a preemptive strike? Yes, a preemptive strike. We could do it without consequences. It's a horrible moral choice, and we've said publicly we shouldn't do it. But if they push us to the wall, we could do it without consequences.
This is not a rock comment. Karaganov has long been a mouthpiece for strategic policy. His remarks reflect a real and terrifying shift in Russian doctrine, the normalization of nuclear first strikes as morally justifiable. Elsewhere in the same broadcast, Russia's historical grievance against the US took center stage.
Have we understood that Americans are not our friends? Absolutely, sure. There was Roosevelt and Stalin, a special case. But mostly, it's a country that imposed a moral embargo, sanctioned us, refused to recognize us, and even financed both Nazi Germany and Soviet industrialization. They always pursued their own goals, and we always knew it.
The US is not a competitor in this narrative. It is the eternal enemy. Finally, Alexei Lyankov, military expert and editor of Arsenal of the Fatherland, claimed that one of Moscow's key goals is to erase the idea, allegedly promoted by the Trump administration, that Russia is a global threat.
We're dealing with a more global issue, one that involves not only Ukraine's security, but the security of the entire world. We want to calm down this anxious world that was torn apart by the Trump administration and its satellite states, who kept repeating that Russia is a threat. This is a complex, long and serious task. As for the outcries, we see them as just background noise. The dogs bark, but the caravan moves on.
Thank you for watching this episode of Russian Hate Speech. We'll continue to expose the Kremlin's propaganda machine, because silence is complicity. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.